Have you ever wondered what went so wrong for Russia in Ukraine? Why did a supposed 3-day special military operation turn into a grueling, protracted war that's now lasted for years? The answer isn't just one single error, but a cascade of monumental miscalculations that fundamentally misunderstood the nature of modern warfare. Today, we're going to break down the biggest military mistakes Russia made, mistakes that have reshaped global military strategy and provided a stark lesson for the entire world. Let's rewind to early 2022. The Russian leadership, by all accounts, was operating under a massive delusion. They looked at Ukraine and saw a weak, divided nation, ripe for the taking. The assumption was that Ukrainian society would crumble under military pressure, that the government would fold, and that Russian troops would be greeted as liberals. They believed their own propaganda, thinking they could achieve their objectives within a matter of days, maybe a few weeks at most. This single, fatal assumption was the bedrock upon which all their other failures were built, because they expected a quick victory. Their entire initial strategy was a throwback to a bygone era. They relied on traditional brute force tactics, massive columns of tanks and armored vehicles rolling down highways, large-scale troop deployments, and overwhelming missile strikes on major cities. It was a strategy straight out of a 20th century playbook, designed to shock and awe a weaker opponent into submission. They sent in parade uniforms for a victory march in Kyiv. That's not an exaggeration. That's how confident they were. This approach completely ignored how warfare has evolved. But here's where the reality on the ground delivered a brutal shock. Modern warfare isn't just about who has more tanks or bigger bombs. It's about technology, real-time intelligence, decentralized command, and the ability to adapt on the fly. And in this new arena, Ukraine was far more prepared than Russia ever imagined. While Russian forces were stuck in traffic jams, becoming easy targets, the Ukrainians were fighting a 21st century war. They masterfully utilized drone technology. Small, cheap, commercially available drones were turned into deadly weapons, used for reconnaissance, to spot Russian positions, and for direct attacks on tanks, supply trucks, and command posts. More advanced drones, provided by allies, allowed for precision strikes deep behind enemy lines. This eye-in-the-sky gave Ukraine a level of battlefield awareness that the cumbersome Russian military simply couldn't match. They could see everything, while the Russians were often moving blind. 2. Then there was the intelligence and communication game. Ukraine leveraged advanced Western intelligence systems and secure communication networks like Starlink. This allowed their smaller, more agile units to coordinate attacks with deadly efficiency. They could intercept Russian communications, which were often unsecured, and use that information to ambush columns and disrupt command structures. Small, highly mobile teams armed with anti-tank missiles like the Javelin could appear, strike a multi-million-dollar tank, and disappear before the Russians even knew what hit them. This decentralized hit-and-run approach completely neutralized Russia's advantage in raw numbers. The Ukrainian tactics relentlessly targeted Russia's biggest weakness: logistics. A large, conventional army is like a giant beast that needs a constant supply of food, fuel, and ammunition. Ukraine understood this perfectly. They didn't always have to engage in head-on battles with Russian combat units. Instead, they focused on blowing up fuel depots, destroying bridges, and attacking supply convoys. This created logistical nightmares for the Russian forces. Tanks ran out of gas, soldiers ran out of food, and artillery units ran out of shells. The infamous 40-mile-long convoy stalled outside Kyiv wasn't just a traffic jam. It was a symptom of a logistical system collapsing under targeted pressure. Beyond the battlefield, Russia made another catastrophic miscalculation, underestimating the Ukrainian people. The Kremlin expected a population that was either apathetic or pro-Russian. What they got was a nation unified in defiance. The public resistance was fierce and widespread. Civilians joined territorial defense units, made Molotov cocktails, reported Russian troop movements, and provided all kinds of support to their military. This whole-of-society defense completely overturned Russia's plans. Instead of a welcoming population, they faced a hostile environment where every street corner could be a threat. This fierce national will fueled the soldiers on the front lines and demonstrated that Ukraine was not just an army, but a nation at war. Russia massively underestimated the international response. They likely gambled that the world, particularly Europe, would be too divided or too dependent on Russian energy to mount a significant response. They were wrong. The invasion triggered a wave of global condemnation. Instead of being isolated, Ukraine received an unprecedented flood of international support. Military aid, including advanced weapon systems, flowed in. Economic sanctions crippled the Russian economy. Diplomatically, Russia became a pariah state. This international backing didn't just provide Ukraine with the tools to fight. It also boosted their morale. For Russia, it meant fighting not just Ukraine, but a coalition of the world's most powerful economies, all while its own economy was being systematically dismantled. Soldiers who were told they'd be on a short, victorious mission found themselves bogged down in a brutal, bloody war against a determined enemy, often without proper supplies or clear objectives. Refocus on a grueling war of attrition in the East and South. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The war in Ukraine has been a brutal, real-world lesson for every military planner on the planet. It has proven that in the 21st century, you can't win a war with sheer mass and outdated doctrine. Victory depends on superior technology, accurate and timely intelligence, flexible and adaptive strategies, and the unwavering support of your population. It's about being smarter, faster, and more agile than your opponent. Russia's failure was a failure of imagination. They brought a 20th century army to a 21st century fight. And the consequences have been catastrophic for them and tragic for the people of Ukraine. This conflict will be studied in military academies for decades to come as a textbook example of how not to wage a modern war. Thank you for watching. If you found this analysis insightful, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you miss our future deep dives into military strategy and geopolitics. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.